The people dedicated the wall of Jerusalem. They brought all the Levites to Jerusalem. The Levites came from the towns they lived in. They came to Jerusalem to celebrate the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem. They came to sing songs of praise and thanks to God. They played their cymbals, harps, and lyres. And all the singers also came to Jerusalem. They came from the towns all around Jerusalem. They came from the town of Netopha, from Beth Gilgal, Geba, and Asmaveth. The singers had built small towns for themselves in the area around Jerusalem. So the priests and Levites made themselves pure in a ceremony. They also made the people, the gates, and the wall of Jerusalem pure in a ceremony. I told the leaders of Judah to go up and stand on top of the wall. I also chose 2 large singing groups to give thanks to God. One group was to start going up on top of the wall on the right side toward the ash pile gate. Oshaiah and half of the leaders of Judah followed the singers. Also following them were Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. And some of the priests with trumpets also followed them up to the wall. Zechariah also followed them. Zechariah was the son of Jonathan, who was the son of Shemaiah, who was the son of Mattaniah, who was the son of Micaiah, who was the son of Zaccur, who was the son of Asaph. There were also Asaph's brothers, who were Shemaiah, Azarel, Milalai, Gilalai, Maai, Nathaniel, Judah, and Hanani. They had the musical instruments that David, the man of God, had made. Ezra the teacher led the group of people who were there to dedicate the wall. They went to the fountain gate and walked up the stairs all the way to the city of David. They were on top of the city wall. They walked over the house of David and went toward the water gate. The second group of singers started out in the other direction, to the left. I followed them as they went up to the top of the wall. Half of the people also followed them. They went past the Tower of Ovens to the broad wall. Then they went over these gates, the gate of Ephraim, the old gate, and the fish gate. And they went over the Tower of Hananel and the Tower of the 100. They went as far as the sheep gate and stopped at the guard gate. Then the 2 singing groups went to their places in God's temple, and I stood in my place, and half the officials stood in their places in the temple. Then these priests stood in their places: Eliakim, Maaseiah, Mijamin, Micaiah, Elionai, Zechariah, and Hanani. These priests had their trumpets with them. Then these priests stood in their places in the temple: Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzai, Jehonanan, Malchijah, Elam, and Ezer. Then 2 singing groups began singing with Jezrahiah leading them. So on that special day, the priest offered many sacrifices. Everyone was very happy because God had made them happy. Even the women and children were excited and happy. People far away could hear the happy sounds coming from Jerusalem. Men were chosen to be in charge of the storerooms on that day. People brought the first part of the harvest and the 10th of their crops. So the men in charge put these things in the storerooms. The Jewish people were very happy about the priests and Levites on duty. So they brought many things to be put in the storerooms. The priests and Levites did their work for their God. They did the ceremonies that made people pure, and the singers and gatekeepers did their part. They did everything that David and Solomon had commanded. Long ago, in the days of David, Asaph had been the director, and he had many songs of praise and thanks to God. So in the days of Zerubbabel and of Nehemiah, all the Israelites gave every day to support the singers and gatekeepers. The people also set aside the money for the other Levites, and the Levites set aside the money for the descendants of Aaron. On that day the book of Moses was read out loud, so that all the people could hear. They found this law written there: no Ammonite and no Moabite would be permitted to join in the meetings with God. That law was written because those people didn't give the Israelites food and water, and they had paid Balaam to say a curse against the Israelites. But our God changed that curse and made it a blessing for us. So when the Israelites heard that law, they obeyed it. They separated themselves from the people who were descendants of foreigners. But before that happened, Eliashib had given a room in the temple to Tobiah. Eliashib was the priest in charge of the storerooms in our God's temple, and he was a close friend of Tobiah. That room had been used for storing the grain offerings, incense, and the temple dishes and things. They also kept the tenth of grain, new wine, and oil for the Levites, singers, and gatekeepers in that room. And they also kept the gifts for the priest in that room. But Eliashib gave that room to Tobiah. I was not in Jerusalem while all this was happening. I had gone back to the king of Babylon. I went back to Babylon in the 32nd year that Artaxerxes was king of Babylon. And also, during the whole time that I was appointed to be governor in the land of Judah, neither my brothers nor I ate the food that was allowed for the governor. I never forced the people to pay taxes to buy my food. I was governor from the 20th year until the 32nd year that Artaxerxes was king. I was governor of Judah for 12 years. But the governors who ruled before me made life hard for the people. The governors forced everyone to pay 1 pound of silver. They also made the people give them food and wine. The leaders under these governors also ruled over the people and made life even harder. But I respected and feared God, so I didn't do things like that. I worked hard at building the wall of Jerusalem. All of my men gathered there to work on the wall. We didn't take any land from anyone. Also, I regularly fed 150 Jews who were always welcome at my table, and I fed those who came to us from the nations around us. Every day I prepared this much food for the people who ate at my table: 1 ox, 6 good sheep, and different kinds of birds. Every 10 days, all kinds of wine were brought to my table, but I never demanded that they give me the food that was allowed for the governor. I knew that the work the people were doing was very hard. My God, remember all the good I have done for these people. Later, I asked the king for permission to go back to Jerusalem. So I came back to Jerusalem. There, I heard about the sad thing that Eliashib had done. He had given Tobiah a room in the temple of God. I was very angry about what Eliashib had done, so I threw all of Tobiah's things out of the room. I gave commands for the rooms to be made pure and clean. Then I put the temple dishes and things, the grain offerings, and the incense back into the rooms. I also heard that the people had not given the Levites their share, so the Levites and singers had gone back to work in their own fields. So I told the officials that they were wrong. I asked them, "Why didn't you take care of God's temple?" Then I called the Levites together and told them to go back to their places and duties in the temple. Then everyone in Judah brought their tenth of grain, new wine, and oil to the temple. These things were put into the storerooms. I put these men in charge of the storerooms: Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the teacher, and a Levite named Pedaiah. And I made Hanan, son of Zakkur, son of Mattaniah, their helper. I knew I could trust these men. They were responsible for giving the supplies to their relatives. My God, please remember me for these things I have done. Don't forget all I have faithfully done for the temple of my God and for its services. In those days in Judah, I saw people working on the Sabbath day. I saw people pressing grapes to make wine. I saw people bringing in grain and loading it on donkeys. I saw people carrying grapes, figs, and all kinds of things in the city. They were bringing all these things into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I warned them about this. I told them they must not sell food on the Sabbath day. There were some men from the city of Tyre living in Jerusalem. They were bringing fish and all kinds of things into Jerusalem and selling them on the Sabbath day, and the Jews were buying them. I told the important people of Judah that they were wrong. I said, "You are doing a very bad thing. You are ruining the Sabbath day. You know that your ancestors did the same things. That is why our God brought all the troubles and disaster to us and to this city. Now you people are making it so that more of these bad things will happen to Israel. They are doing this because you are breaking the Sabbath by treating it just as if it were any other day." So this is what I did. Every Friday evening, just before dark, I commanded the gatekeepers to shut and lock the gates to Jerusalem. They were not to be opened until the Sabbath day was over. I put some of my own men at the gates. They were commanded to make sure that no load was brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. 1 or 2 times, traders and merchants had to stay the night outside Jerusalem. But I warned them, don't stay the night in front of the wall. If you do that again, I will arrest you. So from that time on, they didn't come on the Sabbath day to sell their things. Then I commanded the Levites to make themselves pure. After they did that, they were to go and guard the gates. This was done to make sure the Sabbath day was kept a holy day. My God, please remember me for doing this. Be kind to me and show me your great love. In those days, I also noticed that some Jewish men had married women from the countries of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. And half of the children from those marriages didn't know how to speak the Jewish language. They spoke the language of Ashdod, Ammon, or Moab. And I told the men that they were wrong. I said bad things to them. I hit some of them, and I pulled out their hair. I forced them to make a promise in God's name. I said to them, you must not marry the daughters of those foreigners. Don't let their daughters marry your sons, and don't let your daughters marry the sons of these foreigners. You know that marriages like this caused Solomon to sin. In all the many nations, there was not a king as great as Solomon. God loved him and made him king over the whole nation of Israel. But even Solomon was made to sin because of foreign women. And now, we hear that you are also doing this terrible sin. You are not being true to our God. You are marrying foreign women. Joiada was the son of Eliashib the high priest. One of Joiada's sons was the son-in-law of Sanballat from Haran. I forced him to leave this place. I forced him to run away. My God, punish these people. They made the priesthood unclean. They treated it as if it was not important. They did not obey the agreement that you made with the priests and Levites. So I made the priests and Levites clean and pure. I took away all the foreigners and the strange things they taught, and I gave the Levites and priests their own duties and responsibilities. And I made sure that people will bring gifts of wood in the first part of their harvest at the right times. My God, remember me for doing these good things. This is a message from the Lord to Israel. God used Malachi to tell this message to the people. The Lord said, I love you people. But you said, what shows you love us? The Lord said, Esau was Jacob's brother, but I chose Jacob. And I did not accept Esau. I destroyed his hill country. His country was destroyed, and now only wild dogs live there. The people of Edom might say, we were destroyed, but we will go back and rebuild our cities. But the Lord All-Powerful says, if they rebuild their cities, I will destroy them again. That is why people say Edom is an evil country, a nation the Lord hates forever. You people saw these things, and you said, the Lord is great, even outside of Israel. The Lord All-Powerful said, children, honor their fathers. Servants, honor their masters. I am your father, so why don't you honor me? I am your master, so why don't you respect me? You priests don't respect my name. But you say, what have we done that shows we don't respect your name? You bring unclean bread to my altar. But you ask, what makes that bread unclean? It is unclean because you show no respect for the altar of the Lord. You bring blind animals as sacrifices, and that is wrong. You bring sick and crippled animals for sacrifices, and that is wrong. Try giving those sick animals as a gift to your governor. Would he accept those sick animals? No, he would not accept them. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. Now try asking God to be good to you, but he will not listen to you, and it is all your fault. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. I wish one of you would close the temple doors to stop the lighting of useless fires on my altar. I am not pleased with you. I will not accept your gifts. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. People all around the world respect my name. All around the world they bring good gifts to me and burn good incense as a gift to me, because my name is important to all of them. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. But you people show that you don't respect my name. You say that the Lord's altar is unclean, and you don't like the food from the altar. You smell the food and refuse to eat it. You say it is bad. Then you bring sick, crippled, and hurt animals to me. You try to give sick animals to me as sacrifices, but I will not accept them. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. Some people have good, male animals that they could give as sacrifices, but don't. Some people bring good animals and promise to give those healthy animals to me, but then they secretly exchange those good animals and give me sick animals instead. Bad things will happen to those people. I am the great king, and the people around the world respect me. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. Priest, this rule is for you. Listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Show honor to my name. If you don't respect my name, bad things will happen to you. You will say blessings, but they will become curses. I will make bad things happen because you don't show respect for my name. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. Look, I will punish your descendants. During the festivals, you priests offer sacrifices to me. You take the dung and inside parts from the dead animals and throw them away. But I will smear the dung on your faces, and you will be thrown away with it. Then you will learn why I am giving you this command. I'm telling you these things so that my agreement with Levi will continue. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. The Lord said, I made that agreement with Levi. I promised to give him life and peace, and I gave him those things. Levi respected me and showed honor to my name. He taught the true teachings and didn't teach lies. Levi was honest, and he loved peace. He followed me and saved many people from being punished for the evil things they did. A priest should know God's teachings. People should be able to go to a priest and learn God's teachings. A priest should be the Lord's messenger to the people. But you priests stopped following me. You used the teachings to make people do wrong. You ruined the agreement with Levi. This is what the Lord All-Powerful said. You don't live the way I told you. You have not accepted my teachings, so I will cause people to hate you and think you are worth nothing.